This show is brought to you by Safety FM.
The following program is rated MALSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Finally, show with the balls to call it like it is. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Countdown to audio torture.
The Rated R Safety Show starts in 3, 2, 1.
Let the eardrum pain begin.
Forget the corporate bullshit. This is the Rated R Safety Show with your host, Dr. It doesn't matter who the host is.
Well, is that not the truth or what? It does not matter who the host is. Today's Monday, June the 14th of 2021, day 165 of the year, and only 200 days left to go. Hopefully everything is good and grand inside of your neck of the woods as we're starting off on this lovely Monday. Anyways, we're broadcasting live from the Safety FM studios in Orlando, Florida, and coming across the multiverse. Yes, I did say the multiverse of Safety FM and Radio Big. Well, should I say Radio Big or should I say that other place that we hang out?
Radio Big. USA, Canada, UK.
So there you go. That's what's going on. So hopefully you had a grand weekend. You did some cool stuff. You did some fun things and all that kind of fun things. So let's talk about Friday because we had a faux pas, if you may say, on Friday. So we did the show. If you hung out with us on the radio station, everything was good and back to normal and blah, 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 blah. But for some reason, the streamer would not stream on the video source. So you probably got us, I want to say it was like mid-afternoon, or maybe it was early afternoon, but whatever happened, you didn't get the video until later in the day. So that's what ended up happening there. So sorry that we were not available on video, but for some reason we were on Safety FM Plus with no problem. So just FYI. Of course, we're always available as a podcast too. Good morning, Mr. Posel. Hopefully everything's good with you. So that's the thing. So just wanted to let you know what was going on there because I know there might have been some slight confusion there on what was going on. Anyways, it is 3 minutes past the top of the hour. So let's start getting rolling and bowling and start talking about the cool things that we normally talk about right now on this show. Anyway, so normally if you're not familiar with how this thing goes, let me kind of give you the layout of the land. And of course, things are always subject to change. We bring in some professional broadcasters. They talk about the things that they have going on. And then I kind of give you my jargon of what's happening there. And then on the other side, you know, before we get everything rolling and bowling, we'll start talking about what is trending. So let's start talking about that real quick. Trending over the weekend with the hashtags Erickson was trending on Saturday after soccer star Christian Eriksen, 29, went into sudden cardiac arrest during the Euro 2020 match between Denmark and Finland. He was treated on the field and then transported to a local hospital. Later reports, I'm sorry to say that he was alerted in talking. He remains in the hospital undergoing further examination. Now, I'm going to tell you, terrible news story. Also, it is called Euro 2020 because of the delay of the 2020 session. Hopefully everything gets better with Mr. Christian there as we see moving forward. Okay, let's talk about the other hashtag. Shawn Mendes landed in Twitter on the top 10 trends on Saturday as social users complimented the singer on his good looks. Tweets included 2021 Shawn Mendes. Wow. Shawn Mendes 2021 hits different. And Shawn Mendes, you are perfect. So there you go. Talk about getting a ego boost for that dude. There you go. YouTube versus TikTokers was another trending on Saturday night into Sunday morning. The trend started after YouTuber Austin McBroom knocked out TikToker Bryce Hall in the third round during their match of Hard Rock Stadium in Miami Gardens, Florida. Is this going to be like an ongoing thing? These celebrity matches, I remember they were big when I was like much younger. You even got them on some TV channel. I want to say Fox used to air them. Celebrity boxing, hold on, celebrity boxing. So I don't know. I mean, is that going to be a new big thing going forward? I mean, there is some money involved with it. Let's talk about it. They're saying that John Paul, what is it? what is it, Logan Paul, whatever, just made $20 million off of this fighting with Mayweather. So hopefully, if that's the case, well, good for him. So let's continue talking. Hashtag Michael Jackson innocent was trending on Sunday as fans of the late pop star mark the day. Mark the day in 2005. He was found not guilty on 14 counts of child molestation. His nephew Todd Jackson tweeted, How my uncle was treated and still is treated by the mainstream media is disgusting. Anyone who happily bullied him, kicked him while he was down, or stabbed him in the back, the karma train is not done. It will be making plenty of stops along the way. Sounds intense right away. Anyways, let's get you to our friends right away this morning of Feature Story News. Let them tell you about the features and the news and all that kind of fun stuff. And we'll get moving and grooving right now this morning.
Here is the news on the Rated R Safety Show.
From Feature Story News in New York, I'm Sarah Walton. Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year rule as Prime Minister of Israel has come to an end. The Israeli parliament has narrowly voted to approve a new coalition government. Netanyahu now becomes leader of the opposition, and he told the Knesset he has no plans to leave mainstream politics.
I will lead you to a daily struggle against this bad and dangerous left-wing government in order to topple it. And with God's help, it will happen much sooner than you think.
He's been replaced by Naftali Bennett, who heads up a unity government made up of 8 different parties, including the first independent Arab party. The new leader was heckled by Netanyahu loyalists as he addressed Parliament.
Our government will make an effort to deepen and nurture relations with our friends in both parties bipartisan. If there are disputes, we will manage them with fundamental trust and mutual respect.
G7 nations have agreed to tackle climate change, rebuild the global economy and learn the lessons from COVID-19 after they convened for their annual summit held this year in southwest England. The leaders of the UK, US, France, Canada and Japan were joined in person by Australia, South Africa, South Korea and senior EU figures in the coastal resort of Carbis Bay in Cornwall, with India attending remotely. From Cornwall, Benji Hire reports.
The scene was set early on by the UK's Prime Minister Boris Johnson as he called for his counterparts to help the world build back better, greener and fairer. And so some of the most powerful countries have committed to a series of promises to achieve just that. Almost 1 billion vaccine doses are to be shared with the poorest states over the next year, with the goal to vaccinate the whole world by the end of 2022. Then the Build Back Better Work Partnership, a plan to support the building of infrastructure in lower income countries, and what will be seen as indirectly rivaling China's Belt and Road Initiative. And finally, climate change. Following the first carbon-neutral G7 summit, its participating nations are encouraging the phasing out of coal as they seek to slash emissions and limit the rising global temperatures to 1.5 degrees Celsius, amid warnings from environmentalist Sir David Attenborough that
we are on the verge of destabilising the entire planet.
Benji Hire, Cornwall.
A Danish football player is recovering in hospital after suffering a heart attack and collapsing on the pitch during a match at the 2020 UEFA European Football Championship. Christian Eriksen fell to the ground shortly before half-time in the match against Finland. Senior officials say he's now in a stable condition, but the midfielder did need CPR while still on the pitch. Rob Harris is global sports writer for the Associated Press. He says the shocking scenes were broadcast on television.
There was players shielding Christian Eriksen in the immediate aftermath of him collapsing, and we could see CPR being administered. It was a very, obviously, distressing scene that was taking place.
From Bureaus Worldwide, this is FSN.
With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks. Today, looking a little deeper at the announcement by G7 leaders that they're cracking down on coal-fired power stations to protect the planet from the worst impacts of climate change. It was much heralded by President Biden, Prime Minister Boris Johnson and the other leaders gathered over the last few days in Cornwall as they backed moves to ensure the world's projected temperature rise does not exceed 1.5 degrees Celsius. But did they do enough?
I'm not seeing enough of that absolutely hard line that nobody's going to be investing in fossils in the future.
Juliet Davenport is a climate campaigner and founder of Britain's first 100% renewable energy company. She's unimpressed by the G7 declaration.
The G7 is obviously a massive opportunity for the countries to come together and tell everybody how wonderful they are. And what worries me is it sounds like great headline news, but the point is people are still investing in fossil fuels. I mean, the UK was looking at opening a new coal mine recently. Japan has invested in a load of coal power stations in Asia. I mean, the countries we're talking about here, the G7, it's not just China. We are all still on the fossil train and we need to get off it.
The naturalist Sir David Attenborough sent a video message to the summit that warned leaders were facing the most important decisions in human history. It's not clear many environmentalists believe they rose to the occasion. With FSN Spotlight, I'm Simon Marks.
The main news again. Benjamin Netanyahu's 12-year rule as Prime Minister of Israel has come to an end as the Knesset approves a new coalition government. Leaders of the G7 nations have agreed to tackle climate change, rebuild the global economy and learn the lessons from COVID-19 after they convened for their annual summit. And a Danish football player is recovering in hospital after suffering a heart attack on the pitch during a match at Euro 2020. There's more from us on Twitter at Feature Story. That's the latest Feature Story news. Sarah Walton reporting.
I spend a lot of time in the backyard, and I'm the center of attention at summer barbecues. In '96, I made some of the tastiest s'mores. And in '09, it was me, your backyard fire pit, that accidentally started a wildfire when a summer breeze carried one of my embers into some dry brush.
Spark a change, not a wildfire. Visit SmokeyBear.com. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service, your state forester, and the Ad Council.
Only you can prevent wildfires.
Hope you enjoyed your meal. And I just want to say, he's lucky to have a brother like you.
Lucky? Caring for my brother is far from easy. But he's a part of me, like my arms and legs, so I'll be his. No time for tired. Nothing can disable this love. He needs me, but I'm the lucky one, even though I need help now and then.
If you're caring for a loved one, visit aarp.org/caregiving for care guides and community. Support for your strength. Brought to you by AARP and the Ad Council.
What if I told you that a tornado was going to happen tomorrow, right where you live? That it would touch down at exactly 3:17 p.m., and I told you the exact path it would take. You would, of course, prepare. You would talk with your loved ones, and you'd make a plan today. It's true, I can't tell you a tornado will strike tomorrow, but shouldn't you have a plan anyway? Go to ready.gov/communicate and make your emergency plan today. Don't wait. Communicate. Brought to you by FEMA and the Ad Council.
This is Mario Andretti. You know me as a race car driver, but I'm also a Meals on Wheels volunteer. I've raced against the sport's biggest personalities, but I've never met more vibrant, amazing people than the seniors served by Meals on Wheels. You can make a difference by dropping off a hot meal and saying a quick hello. So, America, let's do lunch. Volunteer your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org.
This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
So for years, I have been telling you how I sleep so miserably at night, but that has all changed as of recent, and let me tell you why. Let me tell you about my friends at Helix Sleep. Helix Sleep has a sleep quiz that takes just about 2 minutes to complete and matches your body type and sleep preferences to the perfect mattress for you. Why should you buy a mattress made for someone else? With Helix, you're getting a mattress that you will know will be perfect for the way you sleep. Everybody is unique, and Helix knows that. So they have several different mattress models to choose from. They have a soft, medium, and firm mattress. Mattress is great for cooling you down if you sleep hot. And even at Helix Plus mattresses for plus-size sleepers. I took the Helix quiz, and I was matched with the Helix Midnight Luxe mattress because I wanted something that felt soft. And I sleep on my side. It was such a different approach and exactly on how I was able to sleep. I love it. It's a huge upgrade from what I had before, that's for sure. The kids love it, even though they shouldn't be jumping on my bed, but that's a whole other story. And my wife loves it, which is important. So if you're looking for a mattress, you just take the quiz. You order the mattress, and you're matched to it. And the mattress comes right to your door, shipped for free. You don't even need to go to the mattress store again. Helix is awesome, but you don't need my word for it. Helix was awarded the #1 overall mattress pick of 2020 by GQ and Wired magazine. Just go to helixsleep.com/safety. That's helixsleep.com/safety. There, take the 2-minute sleep quiz, and they'll match you up with a customized mattress that will give you the best sleep of your life. They have a 10-year warranty. and you get to try the mattress for 100 nights, risk-free. They'll even pick it up if you don't love it, but you will. Helix is offering up to $200 off of all mattress orders and 2 free pillows for our listeners at helixsleep.com/safety. That's helixsleep.com/safety for up to $200 off and 2 free pillows. Don't forget to tell them that Jay Allen sent you.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
So there you go. A lot of stuff, as you could hear, inside of the world of news going on for sure. So there you go. Anyway, 16 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out on this lovely Monday. So do we want to get into this? Did you hear about this? Should we start talking about the stuff that's on the hit list? I think it's time to do so let's do that. The final seat on the spaceship ride with billionaire Jeff Bezos sold, are you ready for this? For $28 million during a live auction on Saturday. Within 4 minutes of the open Saturday live phone auction, the bid hit about $20 million. The bidding was closed 7 minutes after the auction began. The identification of the winner has not been disclosed. As previously reported, Bezos, his brother, and the auction winner will take a 10-minute trip to space on July the 20th on Blue Origin's New Shepard booster. So there you go. $28 million could have got you a trip to space. So, I don't know. $28 million sounds like a lot of money for a 10-minute experience. Well, that's on the eyes of the beholder. Anyways, an unidentified Polish resident uncovered what may be a mass grave near the grounds of the notorious Auschwitz Nazi death camp. Authorities in the country are now probing the area, with individuals spotted 12 human skulls and a number of other human bones that along the bank of Sola River. A spokesperson of the Auschwitz Museum said that the remains were found outside of the known perimeter of the death camp. So something to think about as you do hear about. That's terrible news to hear, just in general. Anyways, a mass shooting in an entertainment district in downtown Austin left 13 people injured, including 2 in critical condition. The incident unfolded around 1:30 a.m. Saturday night on 6th Street, a popular area filled with bars and restaurants. Eyewitness said that officers responded quickly and were able to provide necessary life-saving measures to those who were injured. Authorities arrested 2 men in connection of the shooting, noting that the gunfire was due to confrontation between the two. Hold on. Gunfire between 2 people, get 13 people injured? How does this happen? Like, are you that shitty at aiming? I mean, I know that's a terrible breakdown on how I'm saying that, but still, something to think about as you do think about it. I mean, duh. I just don't get it. Anyways, cops around the country called it quits following the murder of George Floyd. According to the data, the police executive research forum obtained the Associated Press, several agencies reported that an almost 45% surge in retirement and departures from the force compared to the year before Floyd's death. The New York Police Department, for example, saw over 5,300 uniformed officers retire last year, a 75% increase from 2019. Hiring has also slowed by 5% nationwide. The data shows that the ongoing difficulties in recruiting and retention of officers during current national divisiveness over policing. What do you think about this when you do hear about it? I mean, definitely a lot of stuff as it does come about. For sure.
You are listening to a radio god. What? This has to be an error. That host is not a radio god. Anyways, this is the Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
So did you hear about this? Darnella Frazier, the teenager who recorded George Floyd's death last year, earned a special citation in this year's Pulitzer Prize. A co-chair of the organization, Mindy Marquez, said that the Frazier's video jolted viewers and spurred protests against the police brutality around the world. The honor was presented after the board awarded Minneapolis Star-Tribune the Pulitzer for its coverage of Floyd's death and the aftermath. So, something to think about. Something to think about for sure as you think about it. Of course, there's always all sides of the equation. So, of course, some jackass turned around and said, well, what instead of filming of the incident, she tried to help Floyd? So I don't know. Some things to think about. I mean, how do you look at this? Because there's a lot of questions that come about this thing. So let's use that question right there. What if she would have helped him instead of filming? How was she going to help him? Was she going to jump in and intervene between the cops? Hey, listen, I'm pro-police. Don't get me wrong here. But what do you think about this? I mean, there's some stuff to think about for sure. So it's going to raise the question as things do proceed forward. Anyways, let's continue going down the path here. Richard Branson wants to beat Jeff Bezos into space. In response to that, Bezos and his brother will take a 10-minute space trip into space on July the 20th. Branson wants to launch his flight over the weekend of July the 4th. Details of Branson's trip are sparse, but if it gets approved, he will travel the Virgin Atlantic VSS Unity spaceship to rocket. Oh, my God. I have to beat you. No, you have to beat me. No, I have to beat you. No, you can't beat me. I will beat you. You can't beat me. No, I will beat you. I mean, come on. Come on. Seriously. Can't we all just get along? Okay, so good. You beat him by 16 days. Oh, my. I mean, what are we talking about here? I mean, it's so fantastic I made it there before you. All the power of the Galactic Star Force is mine. Like, seriously, what the hell's going on around here?
More sarcasm than Mortal Kombat beatdown. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, a percentage of teenagers who were hospitalized for suspected suicide attempts spiked during COVID-19 lockdown. The new CDC study shows that the rates of the girls ages 12 through 17 were visiting the emergency department for suicide attempts between February and March of 2021 increased nearly 51% compared to the same period of 2019 pre-COVID. Researchers also noted that 4% increase in emergency visits of suspected suicide attempts among boys ages 12 through 17 over the same time period. Causes of the attempt were examined, but experts noted that the increase in suicide risk factors over the past year, including lack of connectedness due to the physical distancing's barrier of health treatment, increase in substance abuse, and anxiety related to family health and economic problems. Worth noting, doctors also are seeing children with coronavirus-related phobias and eating disorders obsessing about infections, scrubbing their hands raw, covering their bodies with disinfectant gel, and surfacing from panic attacks. So, also, screens became kids' sitters, teachers, and entertainers during the lockdown. So, some stuff to think about for sure. So, as we're talking about this, because it's always important to talk about, let's talk about this real quick. Let's talk about the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. So if you or anyone you know is struggling with this, know that you're not alone. Whether you have struggled with suicide yourself or lost a loved one, know that you're not alone. Hear about personal experiences from people in your local communities whose lives have been impacted by suicide and depression. Listen, this is an ongoing topic. It's not a week out of the month. It's not a month that we decide to talk about mental health. It's something that we should talk about all the time. The interesting part about this whole thing is that there's always been some stigma associated of mental health issues. And this needs to be out of the commonplace here. We need to be able to talk about this all the time. 12-year-olds to 17-year-olds or even adults shouldn't be actually contemplating suicide. And if they do, it should be a conversation they should be able to have with someone, opposed to it going into a closet or, oh, you're going to bring our family shame if you talk about this. No, screw that. Let's start talking about this and start having a real conversation. So if you want to find out more information about what's going on with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, you can find out more information at their website, afsp.org. That's afsp.org, or call 1-800-273-8255. That's 1-800-273-8255, or text the word TALK to 741-741. There's so much great information out there about this. But if there's great information and no one knows about it, it really doesn't do a lot of good. Think about that. 12 to 17-year-olds contemplating suicide. Think about this for a moment. About a year ago, or within the last year, we had a story where a child, a 9-year-old child, shot himself because of everything that was going on. Think about this. Left a note and everything. I just don't get it.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
You know, when you come out of that story, how do you go into the next one? But it's always interesting on how these things come about, and we start talking for sure. A lobster diver says that he was swallowed by a whale off of the Massachusetts coast on Friday and lived to tell about it. Michael Packard, 56, says that he was swallowed by a humpback whale while diving into a 45 deep into the waters of Provincetown. I was completely inside the whale, and it was completely black, and he told the Cape Cod Times. In an effort to save himself, Packard said that he began shaking the whale's head in the surface, and he ejected him. He escaped the ordeal with only bruises and no broken bones. According to experts, the humpback whales are not aggressive animals, and that the incident must have been a mistake of the animal's part. Are you sure that he wasn't like hanging out with Job from the Bible?
Safety in a way never heard of before. The Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's continue talking real quick, just for the sake of doing so. Washington Square Park was filled with chaos and lawlessness continued over the weekend. Friday into Saturday, 2 people were knifed in a brawl, and a man was beaten and robbed of his cell phone. Early Sunday morning, a man dressed as the Joker slugged a 38-year-old man and fled the scene. In total, 6 people were injured collectively over both nights. Sometimes I have to tell you, when we come back on Monday and we start talking about everything that's going on, it's like death, 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 stabbing, shooting, injury. Seriously, and I know this is not how I want to start the Monday, but man, it seems to be a lot of that stuff. Or should we just get to the point where we don't talk about it? Duh. It's not like it's going to go away if we don't, though. We do bring it up because these are the main news stories that we are collecting on Sunday. We collect Sunday to Monday and so on and all that other fun stuff as we are going about, just kind of the way that it goes. But I take a look at it and go, wow, how crazy is all of this stuff? Anyways, before we continue too far into it, I guess let me get Johnny Smalls in here, and we will talk about the Market Beat Minute and talk about what the hell happened on Friday.
Here's your Market Beat Minute for Monday, June 14th, 2021. The equity market is poised to build on gains made in the prior week. The S&P 500 moved up last week to set a new all-time high despite hotter than expected consumer inflation. The CPI came in at 5% year-over-year in acceleration from the prior month, but the Fed still says inflation is transitory. This week, the market has a raft of economic data to digest, any and all of which could derail the rally. Topping the list is the May read on retail sales, the Producer Price Index, and the June policy decision from the FOMC. The FOMC is not expected to make any policy changes, but may shed some light on tapering bond purchases and the future of interest rate hikes. As long as the Fed appears to be in control of inflation, the equity market should continue to rally. You can get the inside track from Wall Street's brightest minds delivered directly to your inbox every day at marketbeatminute.com.
Okay, so that was Johnny Smalls from Radio Big hanging out with us, doing the stuff that he does. And, of course, he also does host the John and Heidi show on the afternoon. So if you do want to take a look at it and a gander and all that, you can go to radiobig.fm for more information. So let's do this because it is that time. It is 29 minutes past the top of the hour as you and I are hanging out. So I guess it's time to do some things that we would do around this time. And those things would be our main story.
Here is our main story on the Rated R Safety Show.
So I have to tell you, I have become, when it comes to certain things and I start doing research into it and start looking and taking the dives, I can slightly become obsessed. I can slightly become obsessed with getting as much information as possible and then moving forward and trying to make a determination on my own of what the hell did I think about some of these things. It's kind of interesting because it's not like I just get this much information. I get all of the information that I can possibly get a hold of, read through all the material that I can find, and then start quoting this person and quoting that person and all that kind of fun stuff. And then I get to the point where it's a fever pitch of boredom, and then I go, okay, done. And some people go, why do you go through that? Well, I go through these things because I try to fascinate get fascinated by some of the things that are going on. So over this last little bit, I've been doing a lot of stuff, taking a look into experiential identification. And you're going to go, hold on, I thought this was a show about safety and not about anything else. So let me kind of give some explainers here as I talk about this, opposed to just jumping in and getting into some messes. So if you're inside of the profession here and we talk about safety and you do the safety stuff and all that kind of things, there might have been a time or two that you have done a root cause analysis. Don't worry, I have too. Or you've actually done some kind of accident investigation. I'll hold on for a moment for you to think about that. Have you? Okay, so let's talk about experiential identification. So when you go through the whole process of doing a event investigation, how does it go? How does that event investigation go? You try to get all of the knowledge that you can, and then you look at the whole thing, and you determine on what could have been done and all that kind of stuff. True? I mean, you go, okay, well, this would have occurred. This is the retrospect of the whole information. And then this is the conclusions of the things that should have been done outside of the equation. Am I close? Am I close there? So here's the way that I look at it. If you feel distance from the identification of the event, you develop a deeper connection with the actions if you kind of take their perspective. Do you understand what I'm saying there? So if you take an idea and you look at it and you go through the whole thing and you go through it over and over, are you able to identify the connection of the actions that the person did at the moment? And the reason that I bring this up is because I want you to think about this real quick. We go through the process of identification or investigations, and we look at them and we go, okay, this is what the person did. This is the outcome that occurred, and this is what happened. But here's the problem. We can sit around and say, okay, we're able to identify the different things that the person did. You can do your primary identification and your narcissistic identification and your partial identification and empathy. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff from a psychological side that actually end up going on that people don't think about when you're doing these investigations. And I don't know if I'm going too nerdy or if I'm going nerdier than normal this morning. But I want you to think about this. There's so many different aspects when you're doing this, but here's the problem. You will never, ever in our current environment be able to understand exactly what the person was thinking. What was the person going through before the incident occurred? Because in retrospect, everything is okay, yes, this is what happened. This could have been done. This could have been corrected, blah, 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 blah. But the problem here is you don't know what they were thinking. You don't know how the environment was prior to. So when we do these identifications or this experiential identification, we are actually moving ourselves away from the identification and the investigation. We are taking the long approach. We are sitting further back and taking all emotions out of it, which let's just be realistic. When you're doing this, when you're doing an investigation, that's a good thing, but you're taking everything out. Because here's the question that I always like to ask people. Think about a time that you had an argument with your significant other. Could be a close friend as well. And I want you to think that you were having an altercation with this person, a miscommunication, and all of a sudden you jumped into your car and you took off. And you started driving down the road and you were upset. And things were not making you happy about what that occurred inside of that conversation you just had. Even with some of these conversations, when people look back now, they still get pissed off thinking about it. They still get that anger. They boil up from inside. So think about this. So you jumped in your car, you took off after that argument. You're driving down the road and you're driving for miles and miles and miles. So my question becomes this one. Were you thinking about driving, or were you thinking about the argument? And you see, that's the thing. When we do these investigations, that's part of the stuff that we tend to forget about. Humans are humans and they're fallible. Hey, guess what? You're a human and so am I. Round of applause there. But think about that. Not everything works perfect. We're not machines. Of course, we could have an argument about all that stuff and some of the stuff that people say. But think about this real quick. When we take everything out, when you're doing an investigation, which you have to do for data purposes, it's not supposed to be an emotional event, we take out the biggest factor to the whole thing. And that's the experiential identification of the person. Think about it. You're not going to know what was going through their mind. There's so many different things occurring during that time frame. How do you look at that? I mean, how do you take that moment and look back for a moment and go, oh, well, that makes sense. Or, oh, that doesn't make sense. That's the factor that everybody always forgets when it comes to these things. You can't always be in a performance. Well, you're always in a performance mode, but you can't always adapt to what was going on in real time. You can think that you know what happened. You might have all the data available, but you have the one missing component. And that's what was going through the person's mind. Their emotions at the time. It's interesting when you start taking a look at it, because here's the thing. If you flip this over for just a brief moment, and we use a virtual reality standpoint, or if we use a video game standpoint, when you're doing the things inside of a video game or in a virtual reality, it's all of the stuff that's going through your mind. Based that you're adapting to what is going on in your surroundings. At no point do you ever look back at the game and go, well, this is what I was thinking when I was doing it. Kind of an interesting twist when you think about it. So imagine that if you go forward and you start doing your accident investigations and you put another contemplated context on top of it, because it's going to be the portion that you'll never know. But hey, it's just an idea. What the hell do I know? I'm just a guy behind a microphone.
Oops. What did he just say?
We at Safety FM don't always agree with the viewpoints of our hosts and guests.
Now back to real safety talk on Safety FM.
Don't go anywhere.
You're listening to the home of real safety talk.
You are listening to Safety FM. We'll be right back.
Hamilton was adopted from a rescue in 2008. He really likes to be around people. I get out my mat and I'm doing a downward dog and he's underneath. He's quite the pug about town. He gets invited to a lot of parties. He knows he's a pretty big deal. Look at this little face. How could you not love him?
Hamilton the Pug, Instagram star and shelter pet. Amazing adoption stories start in shelters. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of the United States, and the Ad Council.
You make sure his toys don't have any sharp edges. You taught her what to do when the smoke alarm goes off. You do so much to keep your child safe. But are you using the right car seat for your child? Car crashes are a leading killer of children ages 1 to 13. Protect your child's future at every stage of life. For information on the right seat for your child, visit safercar.gov/the-right-seat.
A message from the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and the Ad Council. So you see, son, good manners are important. Should I go through it again?
Yes.
Yes, please.
Yes, please.
Exactly. Always say please, thank you, you're welcome, and excuse me. Sit up straight, hold doors open, don't speak with your mouth full, keep your elbows off the table. Share your things, play nice, and generally treat others the way you'd like to be treated. Got it?
Got it.
And stop picking your nose.
Most parenting is hard to do in just 2 minutes. But 2 minutes twice a day making sure they brush their teeth is easier, and it could help save them from a lifetime of tooth pain. Visit 2min2x.org to find out more. A message from the Partnership for Healthy Mouths, Healthy Lives, and the Ad Council.
I'm a retired school psychologist, and helping people was my thing. After my stroke, when Meals on Wheels started, I was on the other end of the stick, so to speak. My name is Julius Gaines, creative writer, poet, photographer.
1 in 6 seniors faces the threat of hunger, and millions more live in isolation. Drop off a hot meal and say a quick hello. Volunteer for Meals on Wheels by donating your lunch break at americaletsdolunch.org. This message brought to you by Meals on Wheels America and the Ad Council.
We just came to dance and go all night long. The look in your eyes, you can't hide it. Ooh, baby, I know I turn you on. You can bring your friends, we won't mind it.
Okay, so there you go. That is Tequila Shotty by Blaker featuring King Sis. This song's readily available on Spotify and iTunes, Amazon Music, and Google. I think some people let me see, what day was it? Let's see, what day was it? On Friday, they might have been having some tequila shotty. I had some friends going out to a very popular restaurant that I hang out with, hitting it up with some tequila, but that's a whole other story. We can talk about them later. Anyways, it is 41 minutes after. You are listening to the Rated R Safety Show. Yeah, that's what this is about. Anyway, so let's get into some more news and stuff as we do all that stuff. And thank you to to Blaker for letting us play Tequila Shotty. Okay, so anyways, let's continue on here and go for it. So, I get hung up with a lot of strange stuff. It just is the way that it happens. Let's just be realistic. Anyways, Posel, thank you for the message. I think you're talking mostly performance mode, to be quite honest with you. So we can talk about performance modes at some point. I will tell you, Todd Conklin has a great video explainer of the performance modes. If you haven't been able to take a look at that, you should jump out there. And if you haven't been to one of his classes, go to the class where he does talk about performance modes, or you can jump around and see if you can find the video and talking about it, because it's always some cool stuff of what he has going on inside of there. So there you go. Some things always going on inside of the world here. So let's start talking about some other news, because I always think that this is important. A home away from home. Ongoing travel restrictions and uncertainty brought about by the pandemic has led to the drastic increases in the form of holidaying known as home swapping. Frugal holiday makers Frugal holiday makers have been doing it for years to save accommodation costs and enjoy different type of vacation experience. But UK-based company Love Home Swap reported a 282% increase in new customers last year. And rival company Holiday Swap saw about a 20% growth. Obviously, one of the attractions is the price. After paying membership fee equal to about what you'd pay for one night of a hotel, people are basically staying in someone else's home for free, provided to take their home available of other than the same amount of time. This means that you can travel as much as you like, whether you'd like to ongoing and worrying about accommodation costs. And many diehards say that they end up going places and doing things that they never would be able to have done otherwise. While travel restrictions mean international home swapping opportunities are limited right now, it doesn't mean that the people can't plan long trips in the future while enjoying closer getaways in this summer. Or in that case, start cleaning up my house so it might be able to be ready by the end of the pandemic. That would be one. Or I just couldn't do it. Too many skeletons in the closet, literally. What you mean is home swapping means that my family gets to come too, which I don't know about that. And would you swap your home for a week? Why or why not? So if you had the opportunity of doing this, would you do so? So right now, think about your house. Would you swap homes with somebody for you to be able to go somewhere else? So if you live in New York, would you go to California? Hypothetical, of course. Or Tennessee, or all these other glorious places that you could go to? Or would you even swap houses to do something in your own town? Something to think about. But it's an interesting concept. I don't know. I kind of get all freaked out about the Airbnb thing, but that's me. That's my thing. That's not your thing. That's my thing. I guess I watch too many weird stuff, too much weird stuff to be able to determine what I would want to do. I don't know if did they have wife swapping at one point? That was a show. That was spouse swapping. I don't know. What the hell was it again?
We at Safety FM are not responsible for what this idiot behind the microphone is saying. He is trying to be entertaining. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, they don't call it that for nothing. On the heels of a recent study that found early risers are less risk of depression. Hey now. Now scientists saying that they come up with another possible treatment, laughing gas. In clinical trials at the University of Chicago's, researchers have found that a low dose of nitrous did I take laughing gas? Nitrous oxide or laughing gas can relieve the symptoms of depression that are otherwise resistant to current drugs. Even better, that the benefits appear to last several weeks and come with very, very few side effects. Oddly enough, though, laughing gas was first discovered in the late 1700s. Chemists in England threw laughing gas parties for the elite crowd. Guests reported feeling euphoric and pain-free, and the gas adapted to the use of dentistry and surgery. But in the past year, scientists have been re-examining it for use for antidepressants. Besides laughing gas and other things, it is a list of possible treatments for barrel laughs, giggle juice, and doing the happy dance. The actuality is that the side effects of becoming a star or of a viral video is partially one of the things that can happen. So there you go. Knock yourself out with some laughing gas. I will tell you this, and I don't normally talk about all this stuff, but not so long ago, I want to say within the last 3 months, I actually had surgery, but I didn't tell anybody on the air. But I had surgery, and they gave me laughing gas. And I have to tell you, it was some good times, that laughing gas stuff. They do tell you that you can drive directly after taking it. I might question some of that after you really start thinking about it. But laughing gas, some good stuff. Legally, of course, legally.
Listen to our host of the Rated R Safety Show self-implode on our airwaves, only on Safety FM.
Okay, if you've ever spilled a drink on your pants while you're out in public, and thought, I look like I peed in my pants, well, cool. Then Wet Pants Denim is probably for you. The company is selling jeans designed to make you look like you had an accident. Yep. That makes featuring that appears to be wet in the front and in the center. On the website, the company says the product have a wet look and a dry feel, and are designated to mimic the aesthetic of urinating inconsistency without commonly associated discomfort. The company found that a 20-something dude from Manhattan, who won't reveal his name, also refused to share the company's sales figures, but confirmed that the Wet Pants Denim products are 100% real. And how much does it cost to look like you're out of control? $75. Niche market, I'm guessing, only target customers who my crazy Uncle Larry would be part of. The guy on the corner and Gary Busey. I've been accused of wearing floods before, but not like this. And what happens if you do an accident? They look dry, but you get a prize. You smell like pee. I mean, what the hell is going on here? This is crazy.
You are listening to something magical. You're listening to the Rated R Safety Show.
Oh, I say this all the time, and I guess when I say it, I never truly believed it myself, but I need to start believing it. There is a market for everything, and I guess everyone. Anyways, let's continue talking. No winner for the Friday night Mega Million drawing. Tuesday's drawing will be for $22 million jackpot or a $15.3 million cash payout. No winner for Saturday night's Powerball drawing. Wednesday's drawing will be for $40 million jackpot or a $28.1 million cash payout. Let's talk about the movies that occurred over the weekend. Do we want to do 10? Let's do 10. Okay, number 10, Spiral, $305,000. Number 9, Queen Bees, $328,000. The Wrath of Man, $615,000. The House Next Door, Meet the Blacks, Part 2, $1 million. Spirit Untamed, number 6, $2.5 million. Cruella, $6.7 million. The Conjuring, The Devil Made Me Do It, $10 million. Peter Rabbit 2, The Runaway. Is that new? I thought that was old. $10.4 million. No, it says it's new. In the Heights, $11.4 million. And A Quiet Place Part 2 took the number 1 spot at $11.6 million. I keep on wondering on when people will start doing, the thing of going back to the movie theater. We're starting to see everything else kind of open back up, which is a good thing. Don't take it the wrong way, but it will be interesting to see on what happens going forward. That's for sure. Anyways, as we continue to think about things going forward, if something goes wrong in the past, well, I got a friend that can help you in the future.
When you're in the courtroom fighting big business, government, or insurance companies, you can't blink because they can smell fear. They have the money and the power to grind you down. And that's why you need me. I'm not afraid, and I don't cut and run. Feiger Law. I was born for this.
Okay, Feiger Law, 1-800-A-WINNER. That's 1-800-A-WINNER if you need a good lawyer in your corner. So there you go. Anyways, let's continue talking about some things that happened back on this date. So I'm going to tell you this one. This was back in 1938. Superman is introduced. The character debuted in Action Comics issue number 1. The initial print put out 200,000 copies. The original author were paid $10 per page and refused royalties. Bad idea. An original sold in 2010 for $1 million. That was 11 years ago. What the hell do you think that bad boy would go for now? Anyways, back in 2017, a Bernie Sanders supporter opened fire at a Republican politician practicing baseball in Alexandria, Virginia. James Hodgkinson shot U.S. House Majority Whip Steve Scalzi. Yeah, is that it? U.S. Capitol police officers Crystal Grinner and congressional aide Zach Barth and lobbyist Matt Meka. James would later die following a 10-minute shootout with the Capitol police officers. All 4 victims would survive their injuries. Wow, why would I end on that one? That's a terrible story. It's a terrible story. Let's continue talking about some other things that are going on inside of the world, and let's talk about some birthdays going on today. R.J. Barrett turns 21, Sammy Watkins, 28, Morgan Adams, 29, Daryl Sabara, he's from Spy Kids, just in case, or she's from Spy Kids, 29, Lucy Hale, 32, Kevin McHale, 33, Alan Carr, 45, Boy George, you ready for this? 60. And Donald Trump, yeah, the 45th president, turned 75 today. So just in case you didn't know what the hell was going on, now you know. Anyways, if you're looking for some days of the year to celebrate or a reason to celebrate today, let's talk about those. Army birthday is today. International Bath Day, just in case you haven't taken one in a while. Today's a day to celebrate and do that. National Strawberry Shortcake Day. National Pop Goes the Weasel Day, National Flag Day, National Bourbon Day, National New Mexico Day. Damn it, I should have went to New Mexico. Yeah, I also live there. National Monkey Around Day. I thought we celebrated that thing every day. Is that not the case? Oh, I didn't know that.
We are now video streaming the Rated R Safety Show. I don't know why our host has a face for radio. Rated R Safety Show.
Okay, so for just information purpose, just to share with you, got a friend that's hosting a class, our good friend, colleague, and, guy that runs part of the radio station here, because he's on it all the time. That's Todd Conklin. He has a class going on at safetyfm.io. If you want to find out some more information about bouncing forward, you can do that at safetyfm.io. It is Todd Conklin's newest class. If you're interested in participating and taking a look around at what he has to offer, it's a good class. I will tell you, you should go out there and take a look, take a gander if you haven't done so already. That's available at safetyfm.io. Anyways, let's continue getting you some other information as we're getting closer and closer to the top of the hour. It is 54 minutes past the top of the hour. So at the top of the hour, I will be going over to radiobig.fm exclusively. And if you want to hang out at safetyfm.com, you can continue to do so. We'll have some things going on inside of the world of safety. But what I will be doing at the top of the hour is playing some music at radiobig.fm, talking about some of the news stories that are going around and about. So if you want to come out and hang out and do that, that's radiobig.fm. That's .fm, not a .com. Radiobig.fm, just for information purposes. Anyways, let's talk about Did You Know? Have you ever come across a colleague or even worse, an ex on Tinder? The popular dating app is fixing that. Tinder is tolling out the new feature called Block Contacts that will allow users to avoid awkward encounters with exes, cousins, bosses, and just about anyone that you'd rather not see or be seen by. As the name suggests, the new feature will allow users to block any and all phone contacts within the app. In a recent survey, 40% of users said that they had stumbled across an ex-partner on dating apps, while 24% said that they had been seen by family members or colleagues. 10% even came across professional profilers. Yeah. And 31% said that they had already hit on all of them anyway, so it really doesn't matter. But think about the craziness there. If you're on Tinder, number one, that's interesting. And number two, if you're on it and all of a sudden you run into an ex, a colleague, or a family member, well, that can get a little awkward as well. But imagine even this most awkward thing. You supposedly go to one of the most curated systems in the world that talks about how they will match you to your perfect person, and you get matched to your ex.
This show is almost as enjoyable as hearing the sound of the toilet flush. Rated R Safety Show on Safety FM.
Okay, so let's talk about some whack facts real quick before we get you out of here. A bolt of lightning is 5 times hotter than the surface of the sun. Pearls melt in vinegar. You should try that out and see if it works for you. The creator of Legos made a policy of no military sets because he didn't want a war to seem like a child's play. Nike Air soles do not actually have air in them. You are more likely to be killed by a champagne cork than a poisonous spider. In Mexico, the tooth fairy is known as the tooth mouse. I didn't know that last one. That's interesting. Anyways, let's continue talking real quick about some other things. So here we go. Let's talk about random jokes. If you need a random joke for today, try this one. I dumped M&Ms into my mask so I can eat them while I'm on a horse. If you pick any two celebrities to be your parents, who would they be? If you need a question for the water cooler, try this one. In a poll of 1,000 mask wearers, 1 in 4 shockingly admitted that they have done this. What is it? The actual answer is shared one. That's interesting if you really start thinking about it. Anyways, let me give you some BS before we get you out of here. The nun who ran Torrance, California Catholic school has pleaded guilty to stealing funds to finance her gambling addiction. Shaking my head, such a bad habit. The U.S. National Spelling Bee is happening right now. People thinking spelling doesn't matter anymore, but those people are wrong. W-O-N-G. Wrong. Wheel of Fortune Pat Sajak revealed via Twitter that his dog of 12 years has passed away. The tweet was hard to understand because Sajak didn't use any vowels. Former U.S. President Donald Trump is 75 today. He has said that his parents aren't around anymore because he used to call them on his birthday to congratulate them. Of nearly 1,000 fathers surveyed, 52% actively barbecued, making grilling an accessory one of the most popular items to get dad on Father's Day. Me, my favorite cooking accessory is Grubhub. Yeah, that's the one that I like the best. Anyway, some things to think about as we are continuing the sequence of events here. Anyway, so if I can leave you with a thought for today, I would love to leave you with this one. It is better to fail in originality than to succeed in imitation. Think about that. It's so important. Be you. Don't try to be someone else. Anyways, you've been listening to the Rated R Safety Show exclusively on RadioBig.fm and SafetyFM.com. You are the best part of Safety FM, and that is the listener. Safety FM is the home of real safety talk. I know who you are. You know who I am. Love ya, mean it, and goodbye.
The views and opinions expressed on this podcast are those of the host and its guest and do not necessarily reflect the official policy or position of the company. Examples of analysis discussed within this podcast are only examples. They should not be utilized in the real world as the only solution available, as they are based only on very limited and dated open source information. Assumptions made within this analysis are not reflective of the position of the company. No part of this podcast may be reproduced, stored in a retrieval system, or transmitted in any form or by any means, mechanical, electronic, recording, or otherwise, without prior written permission of the creator of the podcast, Jay Allen.